Hi, friends. This is Unwritten Rules of the Road. I am Tosh. I'm already seeing people in the chat discussing teas and coffee, and me and Curse were just talking about our beverages. Curse, welcome back. It is so awesome to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here as on our mutual rainy Sunday afternoon.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
excellent. Thanks. Thanks for all who are here and will be.
Yes. Yeah, it's great. I love you're actually my first guest that I've had back on Unwritten Rules of the Road.
All right.
Um, Yes, and I am so excited because we were talking about this before. So I feel honored that I got to hear the first inklings of your book. I'm gonna hold it up and see if it translates on the camera. But
Let
the
me know.
sound philosophy, y'all. This is the book that Curse put together. It's a beautiful book. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And just a fun fact for you is that um, you, because we were originally supposed to do this at a different time, and then there was like a crazy snowstorm in the Northeast, which delayed the the production of the book, along with many other books, all books that came out of that publisher, uh, due in this earlier this year. So, which delayed everything, which then I couldn't get a book to you in time. So that book that you have was the one that was originally supposed to come to me, but we were trying to get it to you because we were originally trying to meet this previous deadline. So you have the first probably advanced reader copy that came off the press. So you have a good
Wow,
one.
I am honored. I am honored. This is such a beautiful everything about it. I just love all the design, the words. Are you the one that actually did the design?
Yes,
And
I
the
did.
visual?
Yeah. I would I just, I don't know. Like I'm just always kind of doodling and collaging and thinking about, and I'm trying to figure out what is the book, what does a book look like? You know, those words or what's that energy? And then eventually after coming up and also working with another artist at one point, on additional designs, that one seemed to land the best. For now, that's kind of like the first edition, uh, hardback. So there'll still be another, I think, uh, iterations, I guess, or second edition and paperback yet to come. So uh, the art aspect can continue to grow.
I think it's so interesting. I am a huge fan of books that delve into the artistic process. Huge fan of a lot of the books that you listed, actually. And I thought it was so interesting that the way that you put it together reads like a track listing. So it's like you have like all these, like you call it the different albums and like the different track listings. So it really was very reminiscent of actually how an album reads.
Right. Yeah, that was a concept that myself and then Cliff Hensley, my editor extraordinaire, um, and then that's kind of once we started getting into like, because you write a book, but then there's also the, much like the assembly of an album, kind of get into this design thing and like, well, what is it, you know, do we have a dust jacket or how do the how many words on a page and really the aesthetic of what it will look like for the reader. And so, yeah, that in the terms of the organizing of all of those essays, that's what started coming together in that sort of collage of like, how is this thing actually becoming a book? Because the writings initially weren't a book; they were just
Mm.
writings. You know, it started out as just small journaling and then typing notes in my phone and then getting those paper writings into the computer to join forces with the notes that I was taking. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, now I have like this huge, I guess, topic list. I guess maybe like almost you could say like a tweet version of each chapter in mind that then allowed an essay to evolve out of that. So yeah, that's kind of interesting how it compiled itself in those ways just by writing consistently.
I was curious actually. And I love that you brought this up, just like how a book feels, how it looks, like in terms of the way, because I'll share with you once you answer, but like in terms of like the way people read it, did you have an envisionment where they're like it would be like they read an album at a time or an essay at a time or read it all the way through? Like, did you envision any of that?
Yeah, I think that in terms of because like it's called a survival guide, so there's a handbook concept behind it as well. So in that way, I view it as a reference or a resource, a companion of thought, if you will, that, yeah, read it from start to finish the first time because there is a certain artist journey, an arc from where it begins to where you want it to resolve to set sail with what you just read. Like, okay, put what was read into to like action kind of thing. Um, so I think that is it was just I'm kind of losing train of thought a little bit on that, but just to can you paraphrase the question again for me? I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm
just oh no, not at all. Like you were sharing about like how one would read it. And
Oh
so
yes.
yeah.
So yes, that artist journey is kind of there in the first pass, but then from there, I think that it's something that you can reflect on and just ideally just be like, hey, I've got 5 minutes while I'm sitting here waiting for the coffee to warm up in the microwave or something, and you can just read a chapter or two, or in this case, a track, and being that the book is each of those albums is to some degree thematic in terms
Mhm.
of what each of those essays or tracks is talking about. So you can also dive in that way on repeat listenings, readings. Yeah.
I love that. That's actually exactly what I was going to share about my experience with the book because I did read it from cover to cover, but as I read it, I was thinking like, gosh, it really does read like a survival guide. Where if I'm like, I really could use just a tiny little tidbit right now, I could just pick it up and, you know, dial it into a certain section.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I hope that you found something useful out of it.
Many wisdoms,
Oh,
actually, many
all right,
wisdoms
very
out of
good.
it. Yeah, yeah, a lot I could relate to. Like if without giving too much away from the book, but I just love that you're sharing your own discovery and your own challenges in an artist and ways that have been like practical approaches that have helped you.
Right. Yeah, I think that's uh it feels good to do that because I know not only for myself, but so you and your bandmates and so many of my friends that it's like I know that we all have to be going through some kind of similar yet unique turbulence at times and the challenges that we face as we want to keep doing this thing or taking your show on the road or making art, making music and seeing it through. So by writing about it, it helped me put some of my challenges onto paper so I could look at them and go, okay, well, maybe things really are not as severe in mind as I'm thinking right now. Like I just did that before we were chatting about like looking ahead at um, all of the things that I kind of need to be thinking about right now for the book and these upcoming like a week in Chicago. And then I'm like, all right, now I need my merchandise and I got to get the rental car. And then I need to order several cases of books and just kind of like dealing with all that. So when you put it on paper, it starts to make a little more sense. And like I said earlier, like, and then if you just keep putting it down on paper and working through these ideas, then you come up with concepts that are like entertaining, hopefully to read, but also like, yeah, this is helps give me a little bit of clarity. And so from reading enough books and seeing how that has worked for me, that I felt like I could maybe just make a little thing to share with my friends and in the world and all the other younger versions of us out there that are just embarking on their journey to because it's a nice thing to have. Like I like some of the things that I wrote as I've read back. I'm like, okay, yeah, I wish I would have known that before I did experience that. So yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, my point is that it's fun to share and not just withhold information. Like all good books do that. They give
Yeah.
freely of ideas.
Absolutely. I mean, that's it's been the nature of my experience with you, Curse, is that you're always very free flowing with your philosophies, with your ideas, and I think it's amazing. Like it's a good reminder as well to, and we discussed this last conversation, but just really reminding yourself of your why. Because you discuss this in the book as well, but just like digging into like you are going to have those challenging moments, whether it's like mid tour or whatever it is, and to remind yourself like, okay, this is my why, you know.
Right, right. Exactly. You work towards your moments and get over the challenges, and then you can, like, I was talking to another friend of mine that was kind of going through some crazy things, and it's just like, yeah, just write about all of this right now because it seems nuts, but later on it'll be really good for you to have it down on paper for yourself and for other people of like what you're going through in this particular phase of your life. So I don't know. Writing's been fun. It's a good counterbalance to making exclusively making music as the number one, I guess, medium and art form and my day job almost, if you will, for me. So to then, well, because I've just loved nonfiction and just weird literature that I've just read all my life. So this has been a nice journey to help to actually like I got mine. You had your copy of this like so far ahead of me. Like so once I finally got this, I was like, oh, this is great. It's much like, when you get your vinyl back from finally, once you make your album, you're like, and you're actually holding it. That's the most gratifying thing because then it's just like real forever. Yeah. Now this book can live beyond me. So that's a fun thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a reader and I absolutely love books. I did actually see you make a post about possible audio recording of the book.
Yes, there is a definite audio recording of the book. That actually has been my largest. I guess that's my current production bottleneck in life. Is that so? I narrated it and recorded it all myself, and now and I'm moving into the export and mastering stage of like 280 minutes of audio is what it ended up being. So it's like and then as you know in the book, so each one of those tracks or songs in the book is, becomes a song in essence on the audio book. So that's like 100 files, like 10 albums worth of data essentially of like each one's like 2 to 5 minutes long. So that's kind of my next moment of dread that I really have to press forward with this week is trying to get that export. And then once all those files are mastered, then like basically get it to Bandcamp and figure out how to go make the book available. Not on Spotify currently at all. It'll be DIY, like more
Mm-hmm.
Bandcamp through my site and a couple of other platforms that I like for the audiobook and the ebook yet to come. So
Yeah.
yeah, there'll basically be like four release stages, I guess. So like we have this first edition hardback and then the ebook and then the audiobook. And then eventually, like in the fall, the paperback would come out. So, and I'm starting to book some events around that as well, like doing a reading and Q&A at the Museum of Post-Punk and Industrial Music in Chicago coming up in May. That's kind of the next big thing for us, for Sign and I, travel-wise, is doing like a week in Chicago, but also bouncing over to Detroit to play Fixation May 7th at Smalls.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I love that you're incorporating that as part of like a tour, because touring is something so familiar to you, and so it's very natural, I think, to have a tour for the book.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's a fun way to also travel without necessarily having to carry a lot of gear and do that type of like I can still like talk about art and have it be an artistic presentation without having it to be so physically demanding on my own body, which a live show is pretty crushing. Like, you know, fucking brutal full day's work with the longest commute possible.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so the book tour, like, it makes I look forward to that. I actually been talking to a couple of universities about some things. So I like that idea, like talking to music business classes and uh, music marketing classes and those that are trying to have a career in this field, because that's what ideally, if you can make it, then great. Or always just find a way to be able to create so you don't lose that sense of self that is so valuable. If you have that artist in you that most of us really do when
Yeah.
we're young, it just gets crushed and grinded out of you due to the cost of living, financially and emotionally and time wise and everything else. I hear all the time people are like, "Oh God, I used to be in a band. It was so fun. I wish I could."
Uh,
Or like, I would give anything to get back to it or whatever. Like, I wish I painted more. I used to. It's like you can always re-enter. There's always an on ramp to adding something creative or musical or writing to your life, and then I think you just naturally get a little boost of feeling better about yourself when you do things like that, rather than wishing that you were. Which
yeah,
most people stop
absolutely.
there. Like, oh, you actually do have to get the paint out,
Yeah,
figure out what to
absolutely.
do. So
Yeah, I mean that's I think that's like the hardest part is finding your process and your flow and the beginning of it, which can be so intimidating where you're like, I like the idea of this, but
yeah,
how do I get there, right?
right. Well, one thing that you can do, like if you have a Sharpie and then and a piece of paper, basically, it's so easy. You can then close your eyes. And
I have my pencil.
yeah,
Dear friends in chat, join us please.
so yeah, you basically would just um, one thing I'll do if I just need to kickstart something is just like close my eyes and then you can just do a self portrait, but with only like maybe 15 seconds.
Ooh, I like this. I'm
But
gonna do this right now.
so yeah, you can go ahead if you need to like take 15 seconds to yourself.
With eyes closed, you said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can't look at it. It's just
Hmm.
I got one too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I came up with something like that recently.
Wow.
Just you can kind of see me in there.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's so cool.
And did you make a drawing?
Well, I did it mine with pencil. I don't think you can see it as well. It's
It's creating a
Tosh's.
cool effect though. I like that. What's happening
This
with the
is my
purple
art.
screen? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty sick.
yes,
It's
the
in your next
blippies.
video. You hold your lyrics up real and they just get excited.
Yes.
But here's the funny thing. So like say just this stupid random like that took 15 seconds, but just think if you did one every day for a year, all of a sudden you'd have 365. Like then all of a sudden you might be like, I mean, people think like, wow, look at all those Picasso self-portraits. Amazing. They're all in a book. I mean, you could literally have the same thing for yourself if you just do it consistently, whatever those things are. So sometimes you just got to like just get yourself started. That's the hardest part, really, right?
Yeah.
But then it's fun
I
once you start doing working and you're like, oh, cool.
There's a few fun surprises in the book. Again, I'm not going to give it away, but I just love the immediacy and the directive that you share. And it's very inspiring where you're like, okay, go do this thing right now.
Yeah, right. That's the fun thing.
It gets you out of your head.
Yeah. Well, good. I think
Yeah.
that's what a lot of it was initially, the writing itself, because like I was certain parts of it, the creation went through challenging times where I'm like, oh, everything's pretty great. And then like COVID times and
Hmm.
sort of have a vision of how your life is going. And then all of a sudden, like, hey, there's a lot of challenges and changes and things aren't happening the way you expect. So fuck, like expectations must change. And then you're trying to refigure out things, and then uncertainty and fear and doubt all happen. And then if you're self-employed and running your own business, your band, your brand, then it's just like, fuck, my business is maybe in trouble because there's no shows for 2 years and this is what I do. How the fuck am I going to get through this time? So then you're, if you are like me, or I think a lot of artists, we just kind of see worst case scenarios and then you might fixate on that. And then if you don't kind of figure out a way to like go, well, there are alternatives, you'll figure it out, everything will be okay, most likely, just hang in there,
Hmm.
and start doing something. And that for me was really starting to write. Like I said, journaling essentially is what led to going, oh, okay, I think now that I've made enough of these little doodle drawings, like I have enough essays and ideas and topics that I can see this structured out with a table of contents of 100 titles and what I've written. And like I say, you start piecing that together, and then it's like, yeah, now I have 100 songs, so they start going into these 10 albums, and it's and then that takes up a lot of time because that was 3 years of like really of, I would say, of focused writing and editing and rewrites and then working with my editor. So that's a cool thing because if I wasn't doing that, I could just be sitting there like fucking doom scrolling in the same increments of time and have nothing to show for it. But because we hung in there and figured it out, we got to tell cool stories and make something that feels good to share with people. So I encourage it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I feel like during that time, so many people that I know, really, all of us had to pivot. All of us had to
Mhm.
pivot. And I feel like a
Right.
lot of people I know, artists especially, got very creative. We started doing live streams ourselves. And I
Yep.
think I
Same.
remember we did a live stream together at one of the digital online
Yeah.
festivals. And like writing became a big thing. A lot of people were like, okay, what different forms of expression can I discover, without, for those that have stuck around,
Yeah.
you know, um, I think it is one of those things where, being a creative person, I think it's creative problem solving. Like it's necessary, navigating this
Definitely.
life.
I agree. I think if if I ran a business, I would definitely want to hire touring musicians because they have to be adept, quick thinking, problem solving, like you say. I noted that is definitely a cool characteristic that you develop on the road, and being able to think and deal with those little, being able to solve problems is a good skill.
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually, I'm seeing some very cool questions in the chat. If we
Okay.
could
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
take a little tangent. So Cheshire Cat is asking, does a different phrase come from that mixed down sentence curse? You mentioned the tweet moment. Does that lead towards the next phrase of paragraph or chapter in itself?
Can you run that one by me again? Is there a place can I see where's the chat at? Can
Oh,
I
it's
see?
on the YouTubes.
Okay, I see it. Wait, let me see. Oh, wait. Oh, it's on YouTube. Oh, Okay, just read me
But
that again. I'll come up with a good answer.
okay, so does a different phrase come from that mixed down sentence that you mentioned from the tweet moment? Does that lead towards the next phrase of paragraph or chapter in itself? I think if I'm correct, Cheshire Cat is asking about the weaving, like is it connected?
Yeah, so kind of like the tweet to me is that's sort of like just the one sentence summary of like that's the little wisdom moment. And then if that's a good idea, that might give you a frame of mind on a way to think about something. It's like, yeah, that makes sense because the other day this thing happened to me, and I can totally see that looking at something this direction can impact uh, kind of just reframing how I was looking at something, or ultimately you can just expand on why that idea is uh, again, it's almost like problem solving. Like, hey, like I think when somebody writes some, like you see all kinds of great quotes on Twitter, like everybody's dropping some wisdom from some old person or a person from a long time ago or whatever. And like, what's the context? What are you trying to get across here? But if you just throw that out there, Mark Twain once said this, like, I don't know what is this applicable to me today? And so once you have that little nugget of wisdom, the tweet, then who is that applicable? Well, it's applicable to me because I had this experience, and I'm going to tell you about the experience, and most likely then because I have an audience that is like-minded and a network of people that when I start talking about the specific maybe challenge problem that came about and how it was solved, and then that proves that this little proverb makes sense. And so it's just like it's kind of a way of distilling an idea and then in writing about it in a form. Like it's kind of like fundamental of writing that I think I learned in school. Like you just have this idea, then you expand upon it, and then the next thing in the case of this book would be it's almost like saying, well, I don't want any song longer than 3 minutes.
Hmm.
So I have to be like, well, my word count needs to be no more than 600 words on this song or something like that. So then you start getting into the editing and really trying to like chip away at like this initial word blab that then just has to get carved down to, I guess, hopefully its essence. Yeah. Like a kind of like a minimal approach to writing and not just be a little to the point, but still like
Yeah,
stream of conscious too, because I like surrealism and weird stuff. But
yes. It's very reflective of you as an artist, I think for sure. I also love surrealism, so
yeah,
yes,
excellent.
yes, yes. Oh, it's so cool. Phoenix is saying that he's actually painting while listening. I love that we are
Oh,
inspiring
oh
some
yeah,
art that's happening as we speak.
love
That's
it.
awesome. Yes. And Pete is asking, which do you find more challenging? Writing music where the marriage of the music and the words can be greater than their parts, or writing the book where the ideas need to be less abstract?
Good question. Very good question. Okay. All right. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I found the YouTube so that I can see the chat as well. So I found that writing the book was a more terrifying experience artistically than what I do as a vocalist, frontman, Curse Mackey, the musician, versus me, the writer. Because yes, it's just these words exposed, and then I definitely when like even had this conversation with Cliff, my editor. I'm like, I don't know, man. He's like, it's like, don't get imposter syndrome right now. This is all really good. Like I really have gotten a lot out of this book already for myself and some shit. So like, um, so it's like being more exposed because there's no distortion and delay and strobe lights to maybe mask or support or strengthen what I'm saying as a musician. Whereas this is just kind of more like blunt fact. And you might think what I'm saying is completely makes no sense and tell me that, or you might find something of value of it. So it's a different form of like being, I think what all artists have to do is put yourself out there and to be willing to have your words or music picked apart or hopefully make a positive contribution. But you have to be willing to like just put it out there. And sometimes I'm unsure. And throughout the writing of this book, like at times I put it away and it was like kind of like, okay, so you get in a writing groove, which is what happened with this one. But then like in 2023, I was got my first draft really going pretty well. But then after like kind of putting it off, and like going, I'm going to start today. I'm going to start today. And then like it didn't happen for months. And then finally I got going. But then Sign and I had a tour with I Speak Machine. And then that just completely destroyed my writing routine because then you're just on tour. And then you come home and then you're recovering from tour and then everything's going on. And then, so then I didn't like, oh, I know I have this book over here, but like I'm just avoiding it. And it's this thing and then you have to get back at it and do it and just get through it. So, um, yeah, that's a long way of me saying that this book has been like kind of like it's it's a greater journey in a way than the albums that were all and all the music and all the experience because it's all of those and then it's put on came into something that you can read and also record. I mean, I'm recording it too, so that's also the audiobook aspect's pretty epic.
Yeah, I mean, I think I love that you are recording the audio because I do think that there's certain like art forms that I really love experiencing in multiple ways. And books, I think like I love to actually physically hold a book and read it, like flip the pages. There's something very special about that. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's also awesome to actually hear it out loud. So like if you're going about the day, you can just like flip it on and just be like, all right, let's listen to this track.
Yeah. No, I think that's an important part of it. And recording the book, I got a very intimate uh, connection with what I had written. And that also going back to the previous question, then I was like, oh, wow, I'm really like, I'm just editing the rawest of, again, no effects or anything. So even editing the book was completely different than mixing down a song. So, but I felt only I could record it and only I could narrate it. Obviously, I should. And then now I'm the person that knows how to edit, figure out how to get it produced. And that's just taking a long time because there's other projects going on too. And like I said, it'll probably take about 30 hours to export and get it assembled for release. Originally, I wanted to have it by April 21st, which is the official release of this component of it. But I think it will end up being in early May that I'll be able to release the audiobook and the ebook shortly thereafter. So yeah.
I think it's amazing because you really are living the sound philosophy that you talk about, which is just, I think the ability to wear all the hats, right? Like that's part of it. Like you're still, in performance mode. You're still touring. You're still active in so many different ways, and at the same time creating. So
Right.
that's pretty amazing that you're able to do that.
Thanks. I mean, ultimately that's sort of the whole uh end game. It's like you want to be your own version of Willie Nelson or whatever. I mean, like somebody that just wants to tour and play his music and at the age of 91 and live that life or whatever level of that you can achieve and weave into your own world. Um, we can all put music out and write and have fun with it and make paintings. But I think the main thing is that sets people apart from like if you want to be a professional, which I do, is that you basically have to figure out a way to publish it and turn it into something that people can buy and support. And then you can generate income that you can put back into that thing to hopefully grow a business like all bands ultimately want to be. Um, and there's varying degrees of how far you get with that or want to get with that. And some people just play on the weekends and some are going to grind it out for years and some will do it for a little while and then just go, that's something I used to do. But um, yeah, well, I think that's it. It's just, and then adding it, doing a book and doing an audio book and getting through these new challenges. Then now I know how to do it and I can do another one. And then I can continue to do that. And then that's just another part of the, I guess, the offering that I contribute to the world as an artist. And if people want to support that and find value in it and have that exchange of like positive energy and hanging out and getting to know each other and making friends, which certainly I've made so many friends through people connecting with my art. And like, then it transcends that. And that's a really cool thing too. So yeah, you just have to keep doing it or get started and then don't stop. And then new
Actually,
things will reveal themselves to you as well, is what I think. Like new opportunity for making a cool idea, product, song, whatever.
yeah, I mean, actually, there's a question in the chat from Burning City, and it's a beautiful question that I think is exactly what you're talking about, which is it possible for an artist to have a career these days?
Yes, it is very possible for an artist to have a career these days. And then, but once you commit to that as your career, then that is your career. And then you deal with the income of that career and the other things as best you can. And sometimes that may require for your to have a career as an artist, you also need to work 30 hours a week in a record store, or you have a day job, or you work production in a club, whatever these other things are that help pay for your art that you might need to invest in it before it's profitable. Then yeah, that's all part of having an artistic career. And then uh, you just keep going like it, and hopefully it grows. Like I have way more opportunity today than I did 10 years ago in my career, because at that point I didn't have three solo albums and a book and a cool Pigface tour and a bunch of stuff that's happened over the last 3 years. Like that didn't exist for me 10 years ago. So I still considered myself a professional artist and musician, but I just maybe didn't have as much going on that I do now. What's the difference? Well, time, effort, and making shit happen. So therefore, now I have greater opportunity for my career to continue for the next 10 years because of the investment that I made starting in 2016, when I basically did quit working for a company and decided that I just wanted to get back to making art and music full time, and worked out a plan to do that. I moved back from out of back, left where I had been living in Tampa and moved back to Texas in 2016. Um, and that's when Rona and I from Sign became partners, and that was all a good thing. So, for the last 10 years, we've been building our projects together and making a cool creative life. And some days are super challenging. You don't think you make any progress, or, oh, fuck, was hoping I got this tour. I thought I would, but no, I'm not. So, okay, well, onward and upward. And you just keep producing and keep making things. And ultimately, like I said, the difference is you have to just keep publishing. That's what I was doing right before this call, was mastering my next remix, and just getting that done. And then this week is crazy for the book launch is coming up, and uh, new Sign album coming out next month too. And then we have shows. Playing live. It's the thing. Like you get on a roll at home. Like I'm like, say we have some show and tell. So like
Yes.
the masks. Like this is my solitude. Just like all of these guys. So like I have like, so they kind of start out like, okay. So start blank. You start kind of like painting them up and start gluing and paper, like elements, and then they'll start getting a little more fleshed out. So these are all like some of the fun fun new ones. So like I've just been making all these masks. So anyway, but the
Wow.
thing is you have to get momentum.
Mhm.
Like it takes fucking hours of like telling myself you should really be making masks right now. And then after that argument with myself occurs, like after I get a couple of coffees and everything, then I'm like, finally, okay, sit down. But then within minutes, it's like already fun again. I'm like, why was I just wasting an hour arguing with myself over doing this? Right. Um, and then you do it, work on it for 3 weeks, and you really get a lot of momentum where now I'm like, oh, now I'm fucking cranking on these things. And all of a sudden it's like, I got to go set up my gear and start rehearsing because we have shows 10 days from now. And I haven't rehearsed in 3 weeks because I've been working on art and the book. So that's just how you juggle it. And that's kind of the careering aspects that you go do these things to support these various avenues of revenue streams, really, that you want to grow as your body of work grows. Like, each mask is something, just, I'm still pimping my new album that I'm touring. Imaginary Enemies is still going strong. That only came out at the latter part of last year. So I still am working that album. But you just think about like, and like, as you have definitely toured like as artists, like all you just have all these little I guess buckets that you from your merchandise, vinyl, CDs, t-shirts, like custom apparel Rona and I make, or like all my crucifixes and these masks and larger paintings like on the wall. And then like you have your streaming and your publishing that you can make money, like if performing rights organization stuff through BMI Live, and remixing and doing some personal coaching here and there and helping some other artists and booking tours or helping other bands from like Clan of Xymox when they come from Europe. I often do a lot of their merchandise printing or helping them with travel logistics. And well, then you make money off live performance, and hopefully now for me, add writing and putting books out as another way I can express myself, but also generate income to help my career. Um, because I'm not going back in age. I'm just holding steady, but you want to just keep building things. And then like working on a soundtrack was the other good thing that I've gotten to do this year, which is also a nice thing to not does not require touring. So that was for a show called The Unknowable Darkland. And that came out in February. So I did all the music for like 8 episodes of this series. It's on Amazon. Originally came out on Screambox, but a cool story with that, which is I think it's worth noting how it came to be, because I've always wanted to do scoring music for television, like Twilight Zone or Twin Peaks style kind of stuff. And Kyle Cooper is a director, and he was the director of my video for my song Smoking Tongues. Came out in 2022. It was a single off my Immoral Emporium album. And so just kept in touch, and we had a really good artistic rapport. And right after, I don't know, maybe right after or before the Clan of Xymox tour of last summer, Kyle reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, I have this just weird idea. Um, what's that?" It's like, I got this sound or this series that's going to be on Screenbox through Cineverse, and would you be interested in doing the soundtrack? I was like, oh, yes, most definitely. So it was eight episodes. I did about, let's say, 3 albums worth of, I think about 100 minutes at least of music for them. And they used 30 pieces, all new compositions across 8 episodes. So that will actually be my next album release, will be the original soundtrack to The Unknowable Darkland. So if you're like a band fan of like Twilight Zone, Twin Peaks, like true crime, film noir, experimental cinema. It's fucking awesome. The way they put it together. They did shoot original material like on set of American Horror Story and had some stuff from Carnival, like sets from that show on HBO in there. And then there's also found footage and other real bizarrely manipulated uh, true crime stuff. I don't know. It's very clever the way the directors put together the show. So that I think all of you watching this would like it. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, getting back to like careering, just like hopefully over time, and as you continue to prove in a way that you can do stuff and deliver on your word, and continue to build a library and a catalog, that more opportunity starts to sort of gravitate your way, right? Because now I get to talk about this series, and they're hopeful for a second season, and I hope that will get me more work in that field as well. So yeah, but in the meantime, we have shows coming up in May, so that's the next fun.
That's amazing. Like, what a dream come true. And I love that. It's like you talked about kind of how things are pretty nonlinear. You don't know, but you just have to continue creating your body of work. Like, I love that you shared this in your book, and this was something that you shared in our last conversation. But you talked about like how you learned how to DJ, from your early like club days, and you helped out the DJ, and by helping him, like you started, learning like how to DJ. You started putting together shows. Fast forward, I don't know if you knew this, but fast forward, you're like, now I am scoring this series, which is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have no clue on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't even a known reality uh, that that would exist for me at the time. Mainly
Yeah.
we were just coming out of just of being like skaters who got into music in San Antonio, Texas, which at the time wasn't like not shit. Like it was a fucking rough, crazy ass South Texas. Anything goes. Don't go on certain sides of town, like, and you'll get stabbed. And it was nuts. Remember the Alamo, like whatever. Like, uh, but it was a great place to like learn how to DJ and learn how
Mm-hmm.
clubs operated. And there was a really good underground uh, in the day. It was considered gay nightclubs, as they were called. But LGBTQ, before the term existed, clubs were the ones that were playing all the cool, like, like, of course, Blue Monday and all the new wave that was going on that was kind of dark and underground. Soft
Mm-hmm.
Cell and Depeche Mode and The Cure and all that early club stuff. Um, that's and then was very easy to get into those clubs as well. And so we just got started going. They were cool with like us, and we just had fun and danced, and then eventually like made friends with Jesse, the DJ Jesse Perez. Like everybody knows DJ Jesse in San Antonio, Texas. Like he was the best, but like as far as beat mixing on turntables, he was like incredible, like a magician. And so I got a job bar backing in the club where we all went. My friends were older. They were old enough to bartend. So my rest of my crew got bartending jobs. But they're like, for me, they're like just old enough to like, you can bar back. Like, okay, what's that? Well, ultimately, like, yeah, you get some ice and stuff, but mainly you're the person cleaning up the spills on the dance floor while everybody else is having fun, and then the toilets fucking overflowing, and it's just horrible. Basically, you're kind of like, okay, you're the janitor, but um, every shift when Jesse came in lugging his records and I could help him carry shit in, have a quick chat about like, oh, what'd you get today? Oh, hey, check this out. Like, dude, how do you get those beats totally aligned? Like, how does this mixer work? Like it's like, here, let me show you real quick. Here, why don't you jump on here real quick? Hey, take over. I'm going to go outside and have a smoke. And then eventually, hey, you want to do the first hour of the night? you're getting kind of good at it. The boss approved it. Yeah. But then you got to start your bar back shift, and mainly so he didn't have to show up early when the club was dead. So I got to do that, but then I'd go resume my duties. And then eventually, like after a year of that, which essentially was just an internship with the master turntablist, the club came to me and were like, "Hey, you're quite good at this," and they knew that I was promotionally minded, and so they threw me come up with a night. Let's do industrial night on Tuesday. It's yours. And then now I got my own DJ night, and it's like, all right, time to make a flyer, learn to promote, start calling record labels like Wax Tracks to send me stuff and network. Because now I have a night I can network. I'm a DJ. Like, cool, I got a thing. And out of that, I started, basically playing the music of all those bands I ultimately brought to San Antonio, which is just at the time that the whole Wax Tracks thing was blowing up. So all those bands from Skinny Puppy Ministry, Thrill Kill Kult, Frontline Assembly, Nine Inch Nails, KMFDM, Revco. Okay, man, we brought all those guys to San Antonio and Austin multiple times in those prime days of that. And out of that, that's Pigface came out of the Ministry show that, or out of that Ministry tour. So when Pigface rolled around, Martin Atkins called me and was like, "Hey, we're doing the fucking Pigface thing. Can you give us a show?" And which we did. And then that's when Evil Mothers had started, which was my band at the time. So then we ended up on stage with Pigface for the encore, and then got invited to go tour with them thereafter, and then eventually on Invisible Records with Martin Adkins on his label. And then that led me into becoming involved in, a member of Pigface, like as full time as it is of a band, but like very doing all the tours and from that point forward. So that's always been a thing. And then out of that, like same thing, like the way I started helping Thrill Kill Kult was just because I was producing their shows in San Antonio and Austin. And so I was solid on the business end of things and also a performer that they, of course, knew was good on stage or whatever. So there's like, "Hey, come out and tour manage and play. Would you be into that?"
Mm.
I'm like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." And then I could, did that as long as I could before other things transpired in life. And um, yeah, forever grateful for all of that. And that's just been like my journey. Like these things come about, you do a good job, and hopefully it just grows.
Yeah. It's actually, I feel like this kind of touches on the question that Cheshire Cat asked. Cheshire Cat says, going back to the self-portrait moment, I'd love to tour myself. But I guess this is for both you, Curse, and Tosh. What was your pivotal, yes, I am a musician moment?
My pivotal, yes, I am a musician moment. Hmm. Well, let's see. I definitely feel like certain venues can do that for you. Like I would say the first time I played the Metro in Chicago, that one was like, oh fuck yeah, because I've seen, it's like kind of like a classic industrial venue in Chicago. So to get to play there was cool. When we had a sold out show with Clan of Xymox and Sign at the Belasco in LA not too long ago. And that one to me was also like, okay, cool, man. Like this is a real thing at this time. It's not a thing in the past 18 years ago. It's happened today. So that's very validating and feels good. So um I think probably I don't know, like the first time you get to go on tour, like those early days ones are kind of fun when you don't really care where you're sleeping or what you're eating. You're just out there just doing it because that was the dream at the time, was just to get out there and do it. So there's stages of that, but I think it's a great question because the main thing is to recognize. Uh, and Rona from Sign and I were talking about this yesterday. It's like, hey, you're actually doing it. Like you are all these things that you just listed off that you have to do. That like, fuck, I got to get t-shirts. I got to do this design. I need to Oh God, we got to get the rental car for her tour in August, and do we book the flights yet? Like all these things that have to go into like running the business of the band. It's like, well, gee, you're fortunate that you have that's your to-do list because you're doing it, that you are actually that is your I am a musician moment when you look down at your list and it's like, wow, most of the shit I am doing today revolves around me surviving or maintaining, keeping my band balance above zero if possible while doing this shit and paying my way and funding the next project. Okay. Like how does a week in Chicago work, with Fixation Fest, figuring it out. Well, then you're actually having a music career. That is your day job. It is not all only a handful of people will have the thing where they just walk on stage and play for an hour and get back on a jet and fly home. 99% of us are fucking slugging it out and finding some form of fun in that sort of self sadistic, masochistic thing that the things we go through to play our show and get our art out there. Yeah. But those, all those challenges also are where all the great stories come from. And especially when you can get through them, I learned that. So yeah, so doing it is what makes the career. It's just like that's what magic is. You're doing it, so then that's fucking happening. There it is. It's reality. Why? It's reality because I'm doing it. If I
Yeah.
otherwise I would just be over here on the couch still thinking about it. There's nothing being made, but 10 seconds later, if your hands are on a mask cutting paper, it's like now something's coming alive. Or
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm recording today, but I have my Ableton session open because I can, you know, as soon as I have some free time, I'm going to knock out that 10-minute ambient jam that I do every day as an exercise or whatever. So yeah, that's all. It's all like doing. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's and I love that you're sharing like it's many things. It's the moments when you're like, "Oh wow, I'm here at this music hall," or I'm actually doing this thing. And I realize in my list that there's like a series of things that I'm like, I am actually doing the thing. I am um, the artist or the musician or whatever form you decide to take, or multiple forms. Like I
Right.
am that. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it takes time to where you actually have to recognize it too, because it's natural. Like we all are inundated with like information and obligations. And sometimes you don't take the time to be like, oh, wow, man, I am just actually here doing what I want to do. And that can be as simple as like sitting here doodling and not having anything else going on, or I'm just doing my little quick 10-minute journal, or it can be like, yeah, I'm playing a badass show today, or we are driving to our show, we're doing it. But the main thing is like to recognize the fact that, it's like being present. And sometimes we lose sight of that because we're so caught up in like, what do we got to deal with next? You forget, like, yeah, you are doing it. So enjoy
Absolutely.
that. And then if you recognize that, you get a little, I think it's a good little boost for your personal ego. Now it's like those are the wealth moments in a
Yeah.
way, like just
Yeah.
recognizing, and you can feel good about like, yes, I put in the good 4 hours in the studio today. Not sure what I got, but I think it's going to be good. That's There's something good about that. It doesn't always relate to money, but I think it relates to time
Hmm.
contributed or time well spent. That may give something back later.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's a an act of devotion. I think it's a little daily devotion every day.
Yeah, that's right. Got to praise the muse.
Yes, yes, you must dance with your muse.
Right.
Yeah. I think I do think it's I think every person has it in them to have um, artistic expression in some form or fashion, and And sometimes it can be very intimidating, just the idea of it, especially if you haven't been surrounded by, other artists. Like I grew up in Lubbock myself in Texas.
All right.
And so different, it's like San Antonio and Austin and Dallas are much bigger than Dallas, or sorry, Lubbock.
Lubbock, yeah.
And so, it is one of those things where, it's sometimes the idea of doing the thing can sound very intimidating. But I really like that philosophy and the idea that it's just sort of like doing little mini daily things every day that can build your work over time, like you've been saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what it's about. Like just show up every day, and then it's just like it just takes a little while to build up good habits, and the momentum starts to feel good, and then you have direction. And then you don't feel as lost with like, "Oh, what do I do today?" Because then you feel like you're wallowing if you don't have direction. Like if you don't, you're either, sometimes you know what you're doing. Like, hey, I got to be at the fucking office by 8 a.m. That's a thing you got to do. But then you might also be later than in the day. Well, you still need to get into the studio for 20 minutes and have that sacred time for yourself. I so that's where the book is not for everybody, but it is for those of us that over the long term, that making things, making art, making music, having time, like jamming on a synthesizer, regardless of whether you put it out or not. Hopefully you do and turn it into something, but you don't have to. But still, all of that is time just so much better spent when you look back on your life than just fucking off online. And that's real what everybody is susceptible to right now. So one way to set yourself apart from the masses is to be a good artist and make shit, because you might make a living off of it, but unless you put it out there and make something, you will never know. You just have to try, and that's worth.
Yeah,
I think that's worth everything.
yeah, absolutely. I like that Phoenix is sharing that art is medicine.
Agreed.
Yes, yes, here,
I love
here.
that.
There was Joey Harden is saying, ask Curse about those Friday nights back in the day with Xtina. Miss you, buddy.
Oh, Tampa. Yeah, Tampa had a good scene, and still does. So that's as much as I know or recall about many Friday nights in Tampa. But have you been to the castle
I've never been to the castle.
in
We played
Tampa?
Absolution Fest last year, but we just did,
Okay.
with our tour schedule, we didn't have time to go to the castle. But I've heard so much about it. So
Yeah, that definitely blew my mind on sort of like when you gauge the strength of a scene from city to city, like Tampa with the castle actually being a castle in a historic district, um, and pretty much always lending its space towards music of the dark side from the 80s to now, if you will. Like it wasn't just like a monthly thing, like it's just always a goth club, and it's awesome. So yeah, they like that club was always so kind to me. Alan, the owner, and staff. Like when I moved to Tampa, they were like super embracing, like to uh to welcome me in to DJ and do events there and stuff. So highly recommended if you can get there for everyone. But yeah,
there's
and I always consider getting back to the Friday nights. I consider Tampa is kind of like second home, or always another home base for me.
Oh yeah, we love the community in Tampa. They've always
Yeah,
been really
Communion After
awesome.
Dark, shout out.
Yes, yes, we
Awesome.
love Mark and Commune After
Mark
Dark.
Paradise, Mouse, Tom
Yes,
Gold,
yes,
and crew.
yes,
And Crowbar, Tom, DeGeorge. Awesome. Great
yes,
venue.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I think Crowbar actually might be closed now.
I know it's
Yeah,
happening. I didn't know if he is closed yet, but I know that this year was the last, like 20th year, and then out. Yeah, that's because I guess Tampa's getting greedy and wants to re-gentrify Ybor City. And
Mm, yeah.
so it's making, squeezing the independent venues out of the area, which of course were the ones that made it like, was the appeal of why would you want to go down there? Because
Yeah.
good clubs, galleries, and record stores, and then they can't afford to be there anymore. But anyway, it's my
Yeah.
rant on Tampa.
That's yeah. Are
Any
you
other
are you going
questions?
actually, yeah, there's a question from Burning City. Is do you see this as a companion book to Martin's Tour Smart?
Well, I mean, they would certainly go well on the same shelf together. And I do um, make mention of his book in my book as well. Actually, Martin's Welcome to the Music Business, You're Fucked, I think is the one that I put as recommended
Hmm.
reading. But yeah, Tour Smart is great. I wrote in both of those books, Tour Smart and Band Smart. So those are probably my first sort of music business mindset publishing. So yeah, they go well together. I recommend those books for sure. I think you should do an update for.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's been so many people that I've had on here that have referenced Tour Smart actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a copy myself. So yeah, when I first started independently touring and doing the booking and all of that for us,
Mhm.
it was such an inspiration, especially where you're like, where do I get started and how do I do all this and is it even possible? And it is. It absolutely is. It's just it takes some trial and error, I think, when you're first starting out. You know.
Yeah, I've seen stories just about people talking about their cost of touring now and recent stories, and it's kind of like I kind of sort of put it through the band smart filter too. It's like, okay, so you wanted to drive how far to play how many shows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know. It's going to be the likelihood of making money is stacked against you from the get go. And so it's a good book because it makes you think from a different perspective about like, yeah, sometimes it's okay maybe to say no. Maybe
Yeah.
we don't need to go that far yet. Like, what's the real goal here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you live in like Seattle, what's the urgency to play Miami? Like versus like all those areas in the Northwest. Like, I don't know, things like that. So you can learn a lot from Tour Smart.
Yes, yes. And you do mention that as well in your book, like some of the weighings of sometimes when you really look at the logistics and you're like, okay, like where can I, if I want to tour, where can I do it regionally, in a way that it doesn't completely break me? Because there's so many logistics to think about. Whether you're a solo artist, duo, or a full band, it's a little different depending.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
How many travel with you? Is how
Seven,
Alice
seven. So,
Alice is a party of seven.
yeah. So there's six in the band, and then we have our usually our friend Adam, who does a lot of the driving and helps us with the tech work and the roadie work and all of that. He's just a master of many things, and we appreciate
Yeah.
him so much. But yeah, we travel in a 15 passenger van as a seven piece with a trailer.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting now, like just seeing, I was trying to figure out some tours that I was up for and some things that didn't pan out. And I was thinking about it, like when you would figure out like what your potential income is, and then now like if gas prices rise like a dollar 50 a gallon or more in some cases, depending like if you're in a diesel vehicle, it's so expensive right now due to you know things beyond our control as touring artists. Like
Hmm.
gas just has gone so expensive. Like some one tour that could have happened would be like 8,000 miles. It's like, okay, that's like 400. gallons if you're lucky to get 20 miles a gallon, which probably not. And then if each gallon is now like $2 more than it was at the time of saying yes to the tour, say $800 shift at least in fuel
Hmm.
price, which it could be up to like in some, at this level, many bands might end up playing for 150 or 200, or if they're lucky, 500, but maybe $80 a night when
Hmm.
you're touring on a multi-band package of, like smaller bands. And it's fucking crazy. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It got me off on the tangent of the cost of touring, but it's just
Hmm.
something that's been on our mind anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got offered a couple of things. One was opening for an artist that was a little larger than us, and another one where it was a festival, and they weren't going to pay us. It was just sort of like you get exposure, but we won't pay you. There was no
Mm.
budget for us. And I really liked what you said in the book, where it was just sort of like weighing the cost of things and also knowing your value. And on one hand, I'm like, okay, well, we love playing live. Like our hearts are always in the live arena. Like I
Right.
love that live connection. But at the same time, I was like, if I look at the logistics, like I'm the one that does the booking. So it's going to take me about 4 to 6 months to actually put it together, to get a tour there and back. So that's time and energy. And at the same time, like, it's like trying to play the shows along the way and piece it together to
Yeah.
get out there and back.
Oh
Gas
yeah.
is almost like $7 here in LA.
Oh
So
my
West
God.
Coast, like, yeah, gas is pretty crazy here. I literally saw $7 at the gas station just today. So West Coast, like, gas prices are pretty crazy. So yeah, I'm always thinking about this stuff. But I was like, as much as I would love for us to just get out there and do the thing, I was like, I think like we will absolutely get back out there again. But I was like, gosh, I'm like, it would take us so much money and would probably go in the hole, to be honest,
Yeah,
to get us there and
exactly.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like playing the long game. Like I have the same thing. I'm like, oh God, should have been on tour this spring, but then, and we
Mm-hmm.
are doing a week in Chicago and Fixation Fest, but that's kind of its own installation and almost a little residency in itself. It's not like just grinding it out for 3 weeks and hitting 18 cities in 21 days. But yeah, I'm kind of the same mindset that I want to see how things are going to play out a little bit, and not force myself to just have to be out there. But I've toured very hard for the last 3 years as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we do feel like we want to make sure everything counts and that it's a good gig and a good use of time for everyone, for the promoter, that we bring a good show and that we're in the right mindset to do that and feeling good about everything. So, but yeah, we'll be out there
Yeah.
later too. It's a long
Yeah.
year. Nice to see.
It is. And there's so
Yeah.
many other ways that you can, I feel like, be in the creation and connect with people.
Like right now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm. Could you excuse me one moment? I need to
Oh,
take care
yes.
of something at my front door. Okay.
Oh, yes, of
Be
course.
back in like 30 seconds. Okay.
We will talk in the chats. Yes, I am seeing Phoenix is saying gas is maybe five-ish here. I know, it's crazy. I saw that in the gas station. I was like, oh my gosh, I think this is the most expensive I've ever seen gas. So yeah, but like I was saying to Curse, like really love and appreciate playing live. So that's definitely still something that we will be doing. Just figuring out the logistics of it, because um, there is only so much debt a band can handle, and we have so much. I mean, it's incredible the amount of support that we've had to be able to do what we do. But we're independent. Curse is on Negative Gain Records. But I think it's just like at all levels, like it is something where it's like, okay, gosh, you have to think about the tour vehicle and the feeding of the tour vehicle. So yes, Oh, Burning City is asking about my band. Thank you for asking. My main focus right now is Alice. I've also played. Well, we started off as Mankind is Obsolete. Cheshire Cat was asking about that moment where you know you're a musician, and I think for me it was in Mankind is Obsolete. We decided to literally give up everything, like our jobs. Um, our apartments, and we went on tour for a year straight. And I think for me that like knowing that moment really gave me the insight and perspective of like, oh, I see a hello friend. Oh my goodness, who is
Hello.
this?
Yeah. Yeah. Little bonus guest.
Oh, what a treat. Hello.
That's ZZ.
Hi,
ZZ
Zizi.
dog.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, like it gave us the perspective of like this is something we are absolutely committed to. I was sharing Burning City was asking about my band, and I was sharing just Mankind is Obsolete and Alice, and the moment that I was like I am a musician, I have committed to this. So yes,
Excellent. Yeah.
yes.
And now just don't stop.
Oh.
Like I think like you have that moment, and then one mistake that like my band Evil Mothers that we made, we were doing good. That was like my first major project, and we were making our way, but we were also like, the bigger you get, there's the more that's at stake in a way, like financially and ambitiously. And we kind of had this snafu, I guess, where things didn't go right. And so we ended up basically essentially breaking up. And I wish that we would have slowed down and just said, like, let's just take a break. Like,
Mm.
let's take 6 months or a year and like
Mm.
everybody deal with their shit. Like,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
okay. Like, cause like we don't have to just keep driving, but instead we're like, fuck. Oh man, we just imploded. And that was that. And we ended up, of course, reuniting sometime later, but it was never like the same like potential
Mm-hmm.
that it
Right.
had. So that was one thing I think also like it's okay for bands to take a break rather than being like, we broke up, man. Like just
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to. You can have this project could last a lifetime if you don't break up. You just evolve and slow down and take breaks and push again and then if you're lucky, you have these waves of relevancy with audiences um, and then it's a long journey.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been kind of the case for Mankind is Obsolete. Like, when we finished our year-long tour, I was sharing that we made the decision to just tour for a year straight. We were like, we're getting in the van, we're giving up our jobs and our homes and just putting everything in storage
Oh
and just
yeah,
going on the road.
love it.
And that for me was a defining moment where I'm like, I am committed. Like this is my life, and I've never looked back since. But you know, when we got back from the year long tour, all of us were getting asked to play in other projects. So our drummer John plays drums for IMX and
Yep.
uh, gosh, Frontline Assembly. He plays drums for so many
Oh yeah,
projects.
John Siren's great.
Yep, he's
He's a friend.
amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just love that we've all decided like okay, we're putting a pin in it and we'll return and that's, and we have this ongoing conversation of like okay, what is the next thing we're gonna, brew up and I'm excited for it. But I like your like philosophy and you mentioned this in the book of like taking your little breaks, taking your moments that you need for yourself, It's important.
Right. Definitely. For that very reason, like I'm saying, like should have just slowed down a bit. Like, fuck, but you live and learn.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I feel like there's something maybe in Western culture I don't know or if it's a music culture if I've been embedded in this world for so long, but I do feel like we are very compelled and driven to produce. constantly, right? There's always this compulsion where we're like, okay, I have to do the next thing and get ready for the next thing. And it is sometimes very hard, I think, to put the brakes on and take a pause.
Oh yeah, like the little recharge is typically in small recharges, like you can take a break, and but also just like I was chatting with Kevin Key from Skinny Puppy recently. We were talking about kind of like creative processes and one of those like how do you kind of jog that like what's the kick starting method to get something going. It's like and he's like, what, go for a walk? I'm like, yeah,
Mm,
exactly, like that's one of our favorite things to do. It's like so often just in the walk I'll get that little, you hear that little like the riff in the back of your head or a lyric comes to pass, and now at the end of that walk I'm like, I need to hurry up and go get in the studio and write something down, or actually just start working on something that I was hearing in my head. So it again, it's like a little break. You got away out, you get away from the project so you can get some clarity, get a break, and then you regain a little momentum or motivation to get back to something that you actually realized that you were having fun working on. So yeah, get
yeah,
moving.
get moving. That's a great one. Okay,
Yeah.
I have a random question for you.
Okay.
I love this design so much in your book. I'm going back to the book if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I love that this like separates the different albums or the track listings. Can you talk at all about this? Oh, I don't know if you can see it, but this design. Oh,
Yeah.
come back to me. This.
Yes.
I love this.
It's, it's
Sorry for
popping
the
in here and
terrible.
there.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's like basically the emblem for the sound philosophy. And I kind of just I felt like it needed to have an image, um, just like a band, what's the
Mm-hmm.
logo kind of thing. And so sound philosophy is it's like balance, and then you have, of course, this like a sine wave, the sound, and then there's these two bearings on the end of that to provide balance. But there's also going to be it's like a fulcrum
Mm.
the way momentum works, but always balanced if you are like kind of the center there. So that's what that was all about. And
That's a really powerful symbol. I really like it, and it really does encapsulate it really well, I think. I think
all
that's a
right,
very strong. Yeah.
cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah. It's like
So,
I really like that I mean, this is amazing, but that you're not just a musician, you're not just a writer, you're also a visual artist. Like there's different mediums that you've incorporated in this. And that I think that probably really frees you to have a more encompassing vision as you put out more work.
right, I agree. I think that, well, so I started out as like an architecture interior design major. So I did always like drafting and drawing and working with pencil, but really just got more of an affinity for music. But through music, then that puts you back in design when it comes to creating album art and flyers. Um, and then I think it got inspired to start making, the concept of like, what's the cool what's the cool merchandise to make for this new project. So the crucifixes kind of ended up being a clever
Mm.
idea that um, kind of my own little Andy Warhol factory of these repeating patterns across a series of similar ideas or shapes, the crosses. So, and then from there, that kind of idea just kept expanding. So, and then and then those paintings on the back wall were from performances where essentially the paint was made or spread with my feet in the early days of like the more like I was doing very more industrial experimental sets with the first incarnation of the Curse Mackey project. So that kind of got the sort of mixed media aspect, I guess, to it, and also doing limited edition prints. And I've curated a lot of art exhibits over the years, so that kind of is a parallel that's been part of my, I guess, creative output as well in curating gallery and museum shows. So to have that part of the art output of the music, just I guess it's just a natural course for me. But I do love it because, like you say, it's a nice change of pace from getting away from editing or working on music, and then be able to work, tactile with glue and paint and markers and found objects, and create pieces that people love checking them out at the merch table. It's like all that stuff's super popular too. So for me, it's a lot of fun. And it gives me like a direction, like, what am I going to work on today? Okay, cool. I'll work on a song for a little bit, but now I'm going to get over back to the masks or whatever.
You mentioned the possibility of another book. I know you're still in this still zone, but have you brewed up any possible little seeds of what the future might look like in that realm?
I do. There's definitely, I guess, ideas that have evolved out of this one that I foresee a couple of tangents. Like, okay, I would like to elaborate on this particular thread, but this is not the book to do that in. So there's a couple of those. So I foresee some, I don't know, spin-offs, if you will.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that I would also be down with doing some fictional stuff too at some
Ooh,
point. But
nice.
definitely another a companion type of book to the sound philosophy. I feel because just as much writing as I did, a lot of the things that I wrote ultimately were also not published. So there's still like this additional body of work that I need to figure out how I want to approach it. So I got a Substack going, and I've been trying to be consistent of putting some writings out there and talking about some of the things that we've been talking here, even just from the economies of touring and the mindset behind dealing with setbacks and shit like that. So,
Yeah. Well, it's very appreciated the fact that you put it all into a tangible form that people can read. So I think that's the beauty of I guess committing to creating the art is that it goes from being inside your head with ideas to being something that other people can actually like experience. And I think there's so much valuable wisdom in what you've shared.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I like writing about it and talking about it. Um, and just seeing, it's like talking about any book or movie, but it just happens to be one that I made. So, uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I found like most of the people that I like and that I've known in the music industry that I've respected and admired, and I feel like have had good careers. Most of them weren't um, hard to reach or hard to talk to. That uh, they shared information freely. They weren't gatekeepers. They were helpful, could understand where you might be coming from, and were willing to give some perspective that might be beneficial or give you a chance to even work for them. Um, so I feel like that it's just sort of my place in the world to also, I've been the benefit of great wisdom and experience by people that are, I would just say, further along in their career than I am, that have allowed me to either work on their projects or have contributed to mine, and or had just some sort form of interest in me doing well and have shared their expertise. So I think it's important that given the opportunity to do the same. And this book is sort of a lifetime of all of that that I could finally piece together, hopefully with some form of clarity to get pass along my gratitude and any knowledge that I might have that may help people today right in the here and now, because that's where we're at.
Hmm.
There's all kinds of
Yeah.
crazy shit going on. So it's nice to have some words to lean on, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it definitely shines a light, and it is very current. You do talk about things like distractions and the dangers of the distractions, like the social media world, and how to be present and in your community and a creative all at the same time. So. Yeah. What is your best way for anybody that is interested in getting the book? Is it through your site or are there
Yeah,
multiple forms?
there's multiple ways. If you want to get it directly from me, and I did drop the link in the chat, and I can do it again. So on my own site, I have basically the regular version, and then also there's a handful of the limited edition, what's called the author's edition, that's signed and comes with a little limited edition print. So that's kind of like the cool first edition forever of all time thing. And then you can also get it on Amazon. Just look for the sound philosophy. If you want to take the no shipping charge route, that's okay. But for me right now, like that link that I'm putting in, if you get it from me, does the most good for me right now. And you
Yes.
might get a special note or something from me
Are you
in
the
a
one that does
package.
all of the packaging for your orders?
Oh, yes. If
Mm-hmm.
you order directly from me, that is, yes, what's one of the, I don't know, it's kind of like a hard job, but I really like uh, packaging my own things because over, like, as I do them and I see people that have purchased from me over time, it's like, okay, throw a little bonus goodie in there for the repeat offenders, or I like to I like to put drawings on, especially on the vinyl boxes. I almost always do a cool devil bat drawing. So that way, rather than just throwing the box away, you get a nice little piece of original art that's usually personalized. So it's fun. It's more work, but well, I don't know. I think that that is part of the art exchange too. Like if you order from me, we're talking about it. I am definitely typing your name into the computer, making the label,
Mm-hmm.
putting it on
Yep.
there. Yeah.
I'm the
So
one who
yeah, I
does
have a
that
ton of
too.
that to do because the pre-sale on this book has been pretty good. So I'm about to get
That's
creamed
awesome.
with mail order hell. So if you would like to contribute to that, please order today. Or get on my mailing list at cursemackey.com too is another great way to keep in touch on what's going on with the book and all the shows and music.
I
Yeah.
I've had the privilege of seeing three live Curse shows, and I will say your merch table is beautiful. I love seeing the handcrafted like pieces of art that you have, and just like I just love like you were saying like you're actually like crafting the package. You're putting little pieces of love and little pieces of your expression into it as well. So it's such a special way to support Curse. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome. Mhm.
yeah, and oh yes, yes, yes. I am seeing people excited about reading your book. Yes, and
Yeah, that's
somebody's on your
cool.
Bandcamp now. Yes, that's awesome. Yes,
All right. It is
yes,
there. Yeah, that's
awesome.
cool. Yeah, I appreciate everybody for being here, and all the questions are great, and it's good to talk about it
Yeah.
and see who's here.
Yes. Oh, I see Clint Carney. Hello, Clint. Thank you so much for being here. Yay. I very much appreciate that we have a lot of artists in the chat, and I think all of us that can relate to what you're sharing. I feel so privileged that I've gotten to read this book. I'm definitely going to be keeping it as a companion guide for sure. Yeah.
Nice. I love what you're doing. I think it's great to the unwritten rules of the road. It's a good concept, and you've had some other great guests. So it's been uh, a cool thing for also for me to learn from others that you've had as guests. Keep doing what you're doing. It's great.
Thank you. It's an ongoing journey. Like you've been sharing, where I don't really know where we're going with it, but every conversation is so inspiring, and I love it so much, and I appreciate it. I appreciate our wonderful people who continue to support this, and I appreciate you. Like, thank you so much for taking the time. I mean, gosh, you are juggling a lot, so it's very gracious of you for to take your time to chat with us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, are there any parting wisdoms that you might have for us?
I think the most important thing is just take each day as it comes. Uh, the challenges are paths forward. Don't be afraid. Just
Mm,
create and live your best life that you can. I mean, you can't control everything going on around you, but you can control what direction you set for yourself each day. Or if you just decide, hey, today I put my feet on the ground, I'm alive, I'm going to have a great day. Even though a bunch of like challenging, fucked up shit may happen at the end of the day, that's just all part of it. And if you can document it and make some art or sing about it and stick with that, that's always an outlet from the challenges, and it can be your path towards a good life. So for me, I found it very gratifying to work on art as like I mean, in the game of life, it's a good way to roll. So and just to have some part of that uh, on a daily basis is a great counterbalance to all the chaos and nonsense going on out there. So
it's so beautifully spoken. Yeah. Thank you so much, Curse. Oh, I'm seeing Burning City is going to see you in Chicago.
okay,
That's
excellent.
awesome. Yes. Love
Be sure
it.
to say
Love it.
hi in person, please.
Yes. Yes. It's you're in for a treat. Yeah, because I've loved every show that I've gotten to experience, and I always appreciate the fact that you take the time to have a chat as well. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's fun.
yes,
Yeah, we'll be in Chicago on May 6th at Reggie's with Sign and Black Season Witch and DJ Vegan
yes.
in Black. And then also on May 8th, I'll be doing a totally different set with Matt Black and Lathe of or Houses of Heaven. And that's at Sleeping Village. So two shows in Chicago. And then we're doing a sound philosophy thing at the Museum of Post Punk and Industrial Music. Martin Adkins, fine little museum there on Saturday, May 9th. And then Evil Mother's Day guided tour of the museum that I'm hosting on Mother's Day, the 10th. And then we're at Fixation Fest at Smalls on May 7th. So that's the next wave.
It's a stacked schedule.
Yeah. Well, see,
Yes,
so we're
yes.
doing it. Yeah,
You're doing the thing. Yes,
that's
but
right.
all
Do the
very cool
thing.
things.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
looking forward to it. I'm excited.
yes. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I again like really appreciate just you as not just your art, because your art and your creations are amazing, but just your willingness to also share your process and add some guidance into the pool that I think we all need.
Anytime. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I
Awesome.
appreciate it. And I hope everybody
Yes.
has a great night and see you in Chicago and beyond.
Awesome. Bye everyone. Have a wonderful week.
Okay.